Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about the Canon R5 and specifically the NKI 512GB CFexpress Type B card. It's significantly cheaper than the card I was using before, but is it going to be able to do 8K and not have any issues? Let's talk about it. Hey guys, Tiago with Classical Technology here. Remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Today, we're going to be talking about this. NKI was nice enough to send me this CFexpress Type B card. Now, this is going to be for the Canon R5. As we all know, this is one of the first mirrorless cameras that can actually do 8K recording. And that's actually pretty important because it becomes a very, very heavy codec in terms of the amount of files and in terms of the amount of bandwidth that it's transferring. And you certainly need a very fast CFexpress Type B card. Now, when this camera first came out, I did a video explaining that I bought some expensive CFexpress Type B cards and they would not allow me to do the 8K recording. And they were even from good brands like ProGrade Digital and SanDisk, brands that people usually use for all of their camera needs. The main reason was that I came to find out that in order for the 8K recording not to cut off and not to stop recording, you need a card that's not only fast, you'll need a card that has a sustained write speed that's high enough to actually be able to do 8K RAW. So this is the most important point that I learned. On most cards, the manufacturers will list, for example, here it says up to 1700 megabytes per second read and up to 1500 megabytes per second write. Most manufacturers just list that, and it's actually fairly difficult to find the sustained write speed, but right on the box, they actually tell you around 400 megabytes per second sustained write speed. And that's really the number that you want to be looking at, because that sustained write speed is what's going to allow you to do the 8K raw recording without it stopping on you. A lot of manufacturers actually don't list that. You have to go and search. That's why I initially had the issue with these other type of CFexpress Type B cards. I had to return them and get one that was considerably more expensive. The one that I got was the ProGrade Digital 512 gigabytes, just like this one, but the main difference is going to be that that one was well over $500, and this one now you can get closer to $300. So I wanted to know, is it really worth that huge price difference? That seems to be fairly significant. Is this one going to be just as good as that much more expensive CFexpress card? You could almost get two of these for the price of one of those. So I decided to, of course, do the most important test and put it in the camera and try to record 8K. And that's exactly what I did. I left the camera running for a pretty significant amount of time. It never cut off. As we know, the R5 can overheat if it's in a hot room and if you leave it running for a very long time. But I actually never saw that limit within a reasonable amount of time, within less than 10 minutes. The card itself always remained recording, and that's the most important part. Now, in order to transfer the files to my computer and to be able to test the speed, I used a Thunderbolt 3 reader. If you use a regular USB 2 or USB 3, you're never going to see these peak speeds, like they mentioned, 1700 megabytes per second read and a 1500 megabytes per second write. These are the peak speeds, not to be confused with sort of the sustained write speeds. You need to have an interface that's going to be fast enough. So we do have access to a Thunderbolt 3 reader for the CFexpress card. You can see it's right in here. This is going to allow you to pretty much reach the fastest speeds that you can. And when doing the speed test, these were the results of the NKI card. And let's compare it to the results of the ProGrade Digital card. Remember, this ProGrade Digital card, I haven't had any issues with it. It records 8K as well, but it is significantly more expensive. I paid over $500 for it. As you can see here, the NKI card is actually faster in a lot of cases. So that definitely surprised me a decent amount. Of course, for me, the most important was the real-world test. These synthetic benchmarks are certainly nice. They tell you the performance of a card. They tell you how good it's going to be in terms of the peak speeds. But for me, the real test was that real world test. I've been using it in the Canon R5 to do 8K as well as all of the other formats as well, like 4K 60. It manages all of those perfectly fine. Of course, the new RAW Lite as well. Even though the Canon 8K RAW is the one that's going to have the highest bitrate, it's going to take up the most data. So that's certainly going to be the one that's going to be more demanding on the CFexpress card. So for the price, these are really quite unbelievable. I can't notice any performance difference at all against the pro grade digital. And in fact, like I mentioned, the synthetic benchmarks were even a little bit better. But in terms of real world use, I've been using these to film computer parts and various things in 8K, have not had any issues at all. So I can certainly say, especially for the price, this really hits that price to performance where you're not losing any performance at all, but you are getting a significantly cheaper price. So I can certainly recommend these to other enthusiasts and other, camera filmmakers that are using the Canon R5 and they do like to dabble with 8K in order to get that really crisp resolution and just to see what these cameras are really capable of. So once again, I want to thank NKI for sending me the CFexpress card to test. Certainly very happy with it. I'm going to leave the affiliate links down below. That way you guys can check it out for yourself as well if you're looking for a card for your Canon R5. And certainly working with 8K RAW is certainly a lot of fun as well as very demanding on the hardware. Alright guys, remember to subscribe, smash that like button, and I'll see you guys on the next video.